The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, two of the most beloved Zelda games and video games of all time. As many of you know, there's countless videos on YouTube and many debates online trying to figure out which game is better. I played these games a lot growing up and never could decide which one I liked better. But after replaying them from start to finish, I can finally say, with confidence, that Majora's Mask is the better game. Now everybody relax, calm down. Ocarina of Time is still a masterpiece, but when I compare the two side by side, I constantly have more fun playing Majora's Mask. So in this video, we will compare the two games in multiple categories, such as the story, the gameplay, the dungeons, the side quests, and the music. Before we start the video, I just want to make one thing clear. This is only my opinion, so if you don't agree with me, don't come at me. If you have any disagreements, type it in the comments. And yeah, I just felt like I had to get that out the way. As usual, this is going to be a long one, so go grab yourself a drink, some food, a blunt, anything you need, sit back and enjoy the video. Now before we start, I would really appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. And without further ado, let's get into it. Link begins asleep in his home in Kokiri Forest, haunted by a nightmare of a dark rider Ganondorf pursuing a young girl. The Great Deku Tree sends a fairy named Navi to wake up Link and guide him to the forest's guardian. Inside the Deku Tree, Link destroys a powerful curse, but it's already too late. The Great Deku Tree is dying and reveals the truth. Link is not a Kokiri, and his destiny lies beyond the forest. Before dying, he gives Link the Kokiri Emerald and sends him to Princess Zelda at Hyrule Castle. At the castle, Zelda tells Link about a prophetic dream and her fears of Ganondorf, the Gerudo King. She explains the legend of the Sacred Realm, where the Triforce, a divine relic left behind by the three goddesses, is hidden. The Triforce can grant the wish of whoever touches it. In the hand of someone pure, it could bring peace to Hyrule, but in the hand of someone evil, it would plunge the world into darkness. To protect it, the ancient sages sealed the Triforce inside the Temple of Time, which can only be opened with the three spiritual stones. Zelda believes Ganondorf seeks this power, and she asks Link to gather the stones before he can. Link's journey begins across Hyrule, helping the Gorons and the Death Mountain, and earning their stone, then traveling to the Zora's domain to retrieve the final stone. With all the three spiritual stones in hand, Link returns to Hyrule Castle, but it's already too late. Zelda is forced to flee. Before escaping, Zelda throws Link the Ocarina of Time, the final key to the Sacred Realm. Link then enters the Temple of Time and opens the Door of Time. When he draws the Master Sword from the pedestal, Link is sealed away for 7 years. The sword judges him too young to wield its power, freezing him in time. During those 7 years, Ganondorf enters the Sacred Realm and claims the Triforce of Power. Hyrule falls under his rules, and the land is twisted by darkness. When Link wakes up as an adult, the once thriving kingdom lies in ruins, and Ganon's tower stands where the Hyrule Castle once stood. Guided by a mysterious figure named Sheik, Link travels across Hyrule to restore balance. Sheik explains that to defeat Ganondorf, Link must awaken the 7 sages, ancient protectors who have the power to seal evil away. Each sage is connected to a temple that has been corrupted by Ganondorf's influence. Link travels across Hyrule, freeing the forest, fire, water, shadow, and spirit temples from evil. Eventually, Link learns that Princess Zelda herself is the final sage. Sheik reveals her true identity as Zelda, who had been hiding to avoid Ganondorf, and is then captured right away by Ganondorf. With all 7 sages awakened, Link now has the power needed to confront the King of Evil. Link storms Ganon's tower and faces Ganondorf in a battle. After defeating him, Ganondorf uses the Triforce of Power to transform into his true form Ganon, a massive beast driven by pure hatred. In a final fight, Link defeats Ganon with the Master Sword. With Ganondorf defeated, the sages seal him away to the Sacred Realm. Princess Zelda then uses the Ocarina of Time to send Link back to his childhood, allowing him to reclaim the years he lost, and prevent Ganondorf's rise before it ever happens. The story of Ocarina of Time is good and simple. It's more of your traditional, kill the bad guy and save the princess type of game. But with all that being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Still a great story. Now, let's move on to Majora's Mask's story. After the events of Ocarina of Time, Link leaves Hyrule in search of his lost friend, Navi. While traveling through the woods, he is ambushed by Skull Kid wearing a mysterious mask. Skull Kid steals the Ocarina of Time and Epona. After chasing Skull Kid, Link falls into the parallel world of Termina. Then, Skull Kid curses Link by turning him into a Deku Scrub. Link meets a traveling mask salesman who explained that Skull Kid is being controlled by an ancient evil artifact, Majora's Mask. If Link can stop Skull Kid and recover the mask, the curse on both Link and Termina may be undone. He tells Link that he's going to leave in 3 days, and after going into Clock Town, you understand why. The moon is gonna fall in 3 days. After finally confronting Skull Kid and getting the Ocarina of Time back from him, Zelda teaches Link how to use the Song of Time to travel back to the first day. Each loop resets the world, but Link keeps his memories, masks, and key items. After the first cycle, Link learns the Song of Healing from the mask salesman and is back to normal, ready to save the world. To stop the moon, Link must free the 4 Guardians Giants of Termina by cleansing 4 cursed regions. In Woodfall, Link helps the Deku people who are grieving the loss of their princess. In Snowhead, he restores peace to the Gorons who are mourning their fallen hero, Darmani. In Great Bay, the ocean is having storms and is hard to navigate through, but Link manages to save the day. And in Ikana Canyon, he confronts a kingdom already long dead, haunted by war, regret, and denial. And Link helps get life back to this region. Each region ends with Link defeating a powerful boss, twisted manifestation of Majora's influence, and freeing a trapped giant. Throughout his journey, Link uses masks that carry the spirits of the dead. The Deku mask contains the soul of a young Deku child. The Goron mask holds the spirits of Darmani, a fallen Goron hero who died trying to save his people from an endless winter. And the Zora mask contains the soul of Mikau, a Zora musician who died protecting the eggs of the Great Bay Temple. By wearing these masks, Link doesn't just gain new abilities, he's forced to live out their final regrets and unfinished business. Majora's Mask isn't just threatening the world, it feeds on pain, sorrow, and fear. Eventually, Link confronts Skull Kid at the Clock Tower on the final night. The giants are freed and stop the moon just before the impact. But Majora's Mask abandons Skull Kid and reveals its true nature. The mask pulls Link inside the moon itself. Inside the moon, the world becomes surreal and unsettling. Kids wearing masks, representing the dungeon bosses, and asking Link questions about friendship, happiness, and identity. After completing their trials, Link faces Majora, first as Majora's Mask, then as Majora's Incarnation, and finally as Majora's Wrath. With the help of the Fierce Deity mask, if you collected every masks, Link defeats Majora once and for all. With Majora destroyed, peace returns to Termina, the curse is lifted, the people are saved, and Skull Kid is freed from the mask's influence. The Carnival of Time begins, celebrating life instead of fearing death. Link then quietly leaves Termina, continuing his journey alone. Majora's Mask story is about loss and acceptance, and I think this is why I prefer Majora's Mask story. I love how Majora's Mask went outside the box. I feel like this Zelda game is the most traditional Zelda game. Everything is weird about this game, and I love it. They tried something different, and it worked. It's original. It's a breath of fresh air, and for that, Majora's Mask wins this category. Ocarina of Time introduced mechanics that are still used today, like Z targeting for combat, as well as horseback riding. Even though this game is almost 30 years old, and almost as old as me, unfortunately, it still feels surprisingly good to play. A bit outdated, but still good. The ocarina is a major part of the gameplay. It's not just a gimmick, you actually use it a lot. You can teleport across Hyrule, solve puzzles, change the time of day, control the weather, and even call Epona. It's one of the first time in a Zelda game where an item felt integrated into both the gameplay and the world design. Another big feature is that you play as young Link and adult Link, which you could almost count as two different characters. Each version can share items, but they also have their own. As a kid, you're smaller and more limited, but you can access certain areas and tools that adult Link can't. As an adult, you're stronger and have access to more powerful weapons. Also, why is he called Adult Link? He's only like 17. Anyways, another thing that defines the gameplay of Ocarina of Time is the use of items. Every dungeon gives you a new item, and that item isn't just for that one moment. It becomes a part of your inventory, and you can now access certain areas that you couldn't before. A lot of puzzles are built around these items, and the game does a great job of introducing them in a simple way, then slowly making you use them in more creative ways as the dungeon goes on and as the game goes on. It would have been nice if you could use the items for young Link as adult Link. You sometimes have to go back in time just to use a certain item, which could be really annoying. Another important part of the gameplay is the equipment upgrades, like tunics and shields. The Goron tunic lets you survive extreme heat in places like Death Mountain Crater, while the Zora tunic allows you to breathe underwater in places like Lake Hylia and the Water Temple. These tunics affect how you explore the world. The same goes for shields. You start with the Deku shield as a child, then move on to a stronger Hylian shield, and eventually the Mirror shield. These upgrades add another layer to the gameplay, making progression feel more meaningful as you gain access to new areas and mechanics. Overall, Ocarina of Time's gameplay might feel basic compared to modern games. The core gameplay is very simple. You explore dungeons, solve puzzles, fight enemies, and unlock new items that help you progress further. It's not just good for its time, it's genuinely fun to play today. But with all that being said, I could understand why someone would not like this game. Now let's move on to Majora's Mask gameplay. The core gameplay of Majora's Mask is similar to the one of Ocarina of Time, but they are completely two different games. One of the main features of Majora's Mask's gameplay are the masks. There are 24 masks in the game, some more useful than others. A lot of them are only useful for side quests or pieces of hearts, but the ones that are useful add a ton of layers to the gameplay. The most important ones are the 3 transformation masks, 5 if you count the Fierce Deity and the Giant's Mask. And this is where the game stands out. Instead of just playing with Link, you're basically playing with 4 different characters. The Deku Mask lets you hop across water, spin like a helicopter, and fly across long distance areas. The Goron Mask turns you into a powerhouse. You can roll at high speeds, break obstacles, and deal a lot of damage. The Zora Mask gives you full control underwater, with fast swimming, being able to fight, and also being able to walk underwater. Each transformation completely changes how you move, fight, and solve puzzles. It adds way more variety compared to Ocarina of Time, where you're mostly playing the same way the entire game. You also have other useful masks that are not transformation masks, like the Bunny Hood, which increases your speed, or the Stone Mask, which makes you invisible to enemies. Small things like that makes a big difference while playing the game. When it comes to the items, you're not restricted the same way you are in Ocarina of Time. You can use items more freely, and the game doesn't split you between child and adult Link. Everything feels more connected. Obviously you can't use most of the items while wearing a transformation mask, but that's not a big deal. Unlike Ocarina of Time, where time is just mechanic, in Majora's Mask, time is the core of the entire experience. You only have 3 days before the moon crashes and destroys everything. That constant pressure keeps you engaged the whole time. You're always thinking about what to do next, how to optimize your time, and what you might miss if you don't act fast. And also, certain events are specific to a day, so every cycle has to be organized. And like mentioned before, each loop resets the world, but Link keeps his memories, masks, and key items. Also, the Ocarina plays an even bigger role than it did in Ocarina of Time. You can use it to go back in time, slow down the time, skip forward in time, teleport across the map, solve puzzles, heal characters, call Epona, and even create a clone of yourself. It's not just a tool anymore, it's the centerpiece of the gameplay. Because of all this, Majora's Mask feels more intense, more strategic, and honestly more engaging. You're not just exploring, you're managing time, helping people, and trying to prevent a disaster. And that's something that Ocarina of Time never really made me feel. At the end of the day, Ocarina of Time built a foundation, but Majora's Mask took it and expanded it in every direction. More depth, more variety, more mechanics, more player engagement. Majora's Mask wins this category. In Ocarina of Time, there's 8 main dungeons, 9 if you count Ganon's castle, plus a couple of mini dungeons like the bottom of the well and the ice cavern. You play the first 3 dungeons as a child, and honestly, they're very straightforward, and mostly serve as an introduction to the game's mechanics. The first dungeon is inside the Great Deku Tree, which basically acts as a tutorial. The second is Dodongo's Cavern, and the third is Jabu Jabu's Belly. None of them are bad, but they're clearly designed to ease the play into the game. Honestly, there's not much to say about the first 3 dungeons, so let's move on to Adult Link. As an adult, there's 5 temples to complete, and this is where the dungeon's design really starts to shine. Each temple has a mini-boss, a new item, and a boss fight at the end. The dungeon usually make a great use of the item that you just obtained. The first dungeon as an adult is the Forest Temple, and it's a great introduction to what 3D Zelda dungeons would become. The puzzles are solid, the layout is interesting, and the difficulty feels just right. One mechanic that adds challenge is the introduction of small keys, which are required to get through the dungeons. The harder dungeons as an adult make sense. One of the reasons Link was sealed away for 7 years is because he wasn't ready to face those challenges as a child. But overall, this is a great temple, with strong puzzle design, and a great boss battle with Phantom Ganon. Next is the Fire Temple. The Fire Temple is a good dungeon in my opinion, but it's a bit too easy. The puzzles are simple, and the boss fight is decent. Nothing really stands out in my opinion. It's not a bad temple at all, it just doesn't feel as memorable as some of the others. Then, we have the Water Temple, which is probably one of the most iconic dungeons in the Zelda series, and not for the good reasons. The main mechanic here is changing the water levels inside the temple in order to reach new areas. This can get pretty confusing, especially on your first playthrough. One annoying thing if you're playing the N64 version is that you have to pause the game every time you want to equip the iron boots. Fortunately for me, I played the PC port version where you can assign items to the D-pad. This saved me a lot of time. The mini boss in this dungeon is actually great. You fight against Dark Link, which is really cool. But the real problem for me was that one key that was incredibly easy to miss. I ended up doing a ton of backtracking just to get to that one key. If you ever play this dungeon, just make sure you grab that key when you see it. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of time. As for the boss though, it wasn't really good, very clunky in my opinion. This boss fight was not fun at all. After that comes the Shadow Temple. This dungeon is not hard either, and it's pretty straightforward. What really stands out for me here is the atmosphere. It's dark, creepy, and one of the most unsettling places in the game. The boss fight here is actually pretty fun too. Overall, this is a good temple. And finally, we have the Spirit Temple, which is easily my favorite dungeon in the game. What makes this one so interesting to me is that you actually start as a child, solving puzzles and fighting a mini-boss to obtain the Silver Gauntlets, which can only be used by Adult Link. You then have to turn into an adult to finish the second half of the temple. It's a really clever way to use the game's time travel mechanic. You also get 2 major items here. As mentioned before, you get the Silver Gauntlets, and you also get the Mirror Shield. The puzzles involving the Mirror Shield are great, since you have to reflect light to solve them, and also you can defeat enemies. The boss fight here is also fantastic. It has 2 phases, one where you reflect attacks, and one where you charge up the Mirror Shield with either fire or ice, and then use it against the sisters. Overall, it's a really well designed temple, and easily one of the highlights of the game for me. And after all that, you finally reach Ganon's castle, the final dungeon. It's basically a series of trials based on different temples you've already completed. Some rooms are a bit too easy in my opinion, but it still works well as a build up to the final confrontation. Overall, the dungeons in Ocarina of Time are solid. Some are simple, some are frustrating, aka the water temple. But overall, good temples all across the board. Compared to Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask only has 4 dungeons. The first dungeon is the Woodfall Temple, which emphasizes the use of the Deku Mask. This dungeon is very simple and not really challenging. The item that you obtain in that temple is the bow and arrow. One thing that I don't like in this game is that every dungeon item are related to the bow and arrow. The boss battle is easy, but it's a pretty good challenge for a first dungeon. Next we have the Snowhead Temple, which is more challenging than the first one. This dungeon emphasizes the use of the Goron Mask. In this temple, you make your way through a bunch of floors and punching the platform in the middle to get to the desired level. Puzzles are also better in this temple, and I would say that overall, this is a pretty good temple. The dungeon item is the fire arrows, and after using them to get through the dungeon, you finally get to the boss battle. This is one of my favorite boss battles in any Zelda game. You have to chase him around using the Goron Mask, and I know that using the bow and arrow is quicker, but fuck that. I wanna have fun. The Great Bay Temple is a way simpler and easier to enjoy water temple compared to Ocarina of Time. Instead of changing the water levels, you have to change the water current. The puzzles are pretty good too, utilizing the ice arrows that you obtain in this temple, freezing waterfalls, enemies, and making pathway through the water. Although I think this dungeon is cool, I don't really like the boss fight. I find it annoying, but overall, this is a pretty good temple. Some people don't like it, but I think it's pretty solid. And finally, there's the Stone Tower Temple, the best dungeon in the game, and it's also the most challenging one. And the puzzles are amazing. This temple utilizes the use of all 3 transformation masks, including the Giant's Mask that you obtain in this temple. But what makes this temple so special is that after obtaining the light arrows, you can turn the whole thing upside down, which adds another layer to the temple and to the puzzles. This is one of the best temples in the Zelda game ever. The boss battle is pretty cool. You have to use the Giant's Mask in order to defeat the Twin Mold. Also in this game, each temple has 15 stray fairies, which unlocks something if you collect every single one of them. Collecting every fairy in the Woodfall Temple will give you the Super Spin attack. The Snowhead Temple will give you a doubled magic bar. The Great Bay Temple gives you defense, and the Stone Tower gives you the Great Fairy Sword. Also, Inside the Moon is filled with mini dungeons and challenges, which I enjoyed playing. They're not required to beat the game, but it was still fun to complete them. This game also has mini dungeons, like the Pirate's Fortress, the Ancient Castle of Ikana, and Beneath the Well. Not really temples, but stuff that you have to go through in order to complete the game, which are also very fun. So that's pretty much it for Majora's Mask dungeons, but if I had to pick one, I would choose Majora's Mask. Ocarina of Time has great dungeons, and way more than Majora's Mask, 3 as a child and 5 as an adult. The reason I prefer the dungeons of Majora's Mask over those of Ocarina of Time is because in Ocarina of Time, some dungeons are way too easy. There's no challenge at all in the first 3 temples as a child, but once you get to Adult Link, this is where the fun begins. And again, I feel like as an adult, the Fire Temple and the Water Temple are the 2 weakest temples in the game. They're not bad temples at all, but they're weaker than the others. I feel like the temples are way more balanced in Majora's Mask. You could argue that the first one is a bit too easy, but other than that, I feel like they're all well balanced. Also, I feel like completing a temple in Majora's Mask has more meaning than completing one in Ocarina of Time. After completing a temple in Majora's Mask, you can actually see the world changing, but in Ocarina of Time, you don't always get that, and I feel like it takes something away from completing a temple. But with all that being said, this point goes to Majora's Mask. These 2 games have amazing side quests, and this is one of the reasons why people love these games so much. So let's see which one of these 2 games has the better side quests. When it comes to the side quests, Ocarina of Time has a fair amount of them, and some are pretty memorable. One of the most notable is the Epona side quest. As an adult, you return to the ranch and challenge Ingo to a race. After beating him, You escape the wrench with Epona. Whether you want to call it saving her or stealing her is up to you. Once you have Epona, traveling across Hyrule becomes much faster. It allows you to reach new areas like Lake Hylia and the Gerudo Valley. Then, there's the Gold Skulltulas, which you collect throughout the entire game. Every time you reach a certain milestone, you free a member of the cursed Skulltula family and get rewards. Some of them are great, like the Giant's Wallet, but after collecting 50, the rewards become pretty pointless. The reward for getting all 100 Skulltulas just gives you 200 rupees every time you visit the house, which is basically useless since rupees are never a problem in this game. There's also a fishing minigame at the pond in Lake Hylia. Honestly, I never tried it. I find fishing in video games pretty boring, but the reward for that is the golden scale, which is not worth my time. Another cool one is the Happy Mask side quest. In this one, you borrow masks from the Happy Mask shop and sell them to different characters around Hyrule. It's a simple but charming little quest that introduces a lot of NPCs in the world. Another optional challenge is the Gerudo Training Ground, a late mini dungeon filled with puzzles, combat rooms, and a lot of fucking keys. Completing it rewards you with the ice arrows. They're honestly useless, but I always do the Gerudo Training Ground because the challenge itself is fun. But probably the most famous and most useful side quest in the game is the Big Goron Sword quest. This is a long trading sequence that takes you all across Hyrule, delivering items to different characters. At the end, you receive the Big Goron Sword, a massive two-handed weapon that deals doubles the damage of the Master Sword. It's easily one of the best rewards in the game. So with all that being said, Ocarina of Time has some great side quests. I didn't mention all of them, but overall, they're pretty good. Now let's take a look at Majora's Mask side quests, and this is one of the game's strongest features. Early in the game, you receive the Bummer's Notebook, which tracks the schedule for characters across the 3-day cycle. It tells you who needs help, where, and at what time. This system makes the world feel alive, because every character in Termina has their own routine and their own story. This game features 2 Skulltula houses, one near Great Bay and one in the swamp. Each one is its own mini puzzle challenge, and completing them rewards you with useful items like the Mask of Truth and the Giant Wallet. There's also the Goron Race, which allows you to upgrade your sword. The Gilded Sword side quest requires you to get a power keg and open the Goron's Race entrance. After winning the race and obtaining the gold dust, you can now upgrade your sword. Another memorable side quest happens at Romani Ranch. On the first night, you help Romani defend the ranch from mysterious aliens trying to abduct the cows. If you succeed, you earn a bottle of milk. On the second night, you escort Cremia's milk wagon through a dangerous road while protecting it from bandits. Completing this rewards you with Romani's Mask, which lets you enter the milk bar in Clocktown and unlocks even more side quests. The thing that I love in this game is that everything feels connected, and every time you do something, it allows you to do something else. Anyways, the most famous side quest in Majora's Mask is the Cafe side quest. Over the course of the 3-day cycle, you help reunite 2 lovers whose wedding has been interrupted by a series of unfortunate events. You have to carefully follow their schedule, solve multiple problems across Termina, and make everything happen before the world ends. It's one of the most emotional and complex side quests in the entire Zelda series, and completing it rewards you with the Couple's Mask. And there's a lot of side quests that I didn't mention, and just getting every mask is a side quest in itself. The biggest difference in the 2 games is that in Majora's Mask, side quests feels like real stories. You're not just collecting items, you're helping people solve their problems before the world ends. Everything has a purpose, and because of that, when it comes to the side quests, Majora's Mask win this category. The music of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were composed by the legendary Koji Kondo, and honestly, this dude is a genius. Ocarina of Time soundtrack has a very adventurous tone. It's the kind of music that instantly makes you feel like you're about to go on a huge journey. And a lot of songs introduced in this game became some of the most iconic tracks in the entire Zelda series. Take Hyrule Field for example. Every time that song starts playing, it makes you feel important, like you got some serious shit to do. And then, There's Zora's Domain, which has this calm tropical vibe to it. It makes me feel like I'm chilling at the beach in Hawaii or something. The Song of Storms is just another classic. It just sounds good. The Lost Woods is also an absolute banger. And then we have Gerudo Valley, which is my favorite track in the entire game. This song hits every single time. I never get tired of it. It's easily one of the most iconic songs in the entire Zelda franchise. So yeah, there's really no debate here. Ocarina of Time has one of the greatest soundtracks in video game history. Now let's move on to Majora's Mask. This game has a whole different vibe. Instead of focusing on adventure, this game focuses on atmosphere and emotions. Let's take Clock Town for example. On the first day, the music is slow, cheerful, and peaceful. It feels like a normal day. On the second day, the song changes slightly. It still sounds familiar, but there's this subtle tension creeping in. On the final day, the music becomes faster and more anxious. You can feel the pressure building as the moon gets closer and closer. And in the final hours, the music becomes incredibly unsettling. It genuinely feels like you're about to die, and you don't have that much time left. Another song that really captures this darker tone is the Ghost Attack theme, which plays when the spirits invade Romani Ranch. In my opinion, the Deku Palace theme is fantastic. This song has this tribal jungle vibe to it, and it just sounds good. The Stone Tower music is also one of my favorite songs. It just sounds good. But the one song that always gets me emotionally is the Song of Healing. It's such a beautiful melody, but at the same time, it's incredibly sad. In my opinion, the best moment where the song is used is when you help Pamela heal her dad after he's been cursed in the Kana Canyon. Once you lift the curse, the scene that follows is honestly one of the most touching moments in the entire Zelda series. Moments like that are exactly why Majora's Mask's music is so powerful. It doesn't just sound good, it reinforces the themes of the game: loss, fear, and healing. Again, Ocarina of Time has more of an adventurous soundtrack, but when it comes to the atmosphere, emotions, and storytelling through music, Majora's Mask just nails it. So for this category, Majora's Mask takes the win. So that's gonna wrap up this video, and if you've made it this far, I really appreciate it, for real. And again, I just want to make this clear, this is only my opinion, and you're entitled to yours. So if you have any disagreements, or if you agree with me, let me know in the comment section. I would love to see your opinions. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more Zelda videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. It really helps the channel more than you think. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for the support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.